the phone now, so not my problem. Tell them. The thing about this is like, you know, there's no turning thing. There's no, don't have the this thing, so I have to like, and it's not smooth, so.
但是电池可能不够，一传下来那电池就没了，我得用那个开始用那个特别大的。
The stand.
再多一个不透发表应该，明天我再看看。应该如果可以的话，我记得晚上我一边。
只有三个 channel。
GP。早上10点钟过去是吧？然后也是那个说那个中午那个午餐这个位置吧，这样吧，中午那个我去，然后晚上那个看情况，如果有需要的话，我再多拿一个他的然后你在晚上看有没有他那个radio 然后那个他们的电池好不好放的话，也做给我的。午餐的我们这边。
发小组。
Test 1 2 3 test 1 2 3 testing 1 2 3。
那我跟肖姐明天去那个中午那个吧，就是10点钟从公司那边出发，然后。
Test check mic check test。
Okay.
Mic check test 1 2 3.
Happy TV 啊。
Test mic test 1 test 2 test 3.
Sorry, I didn't hear it.
Test mic test 1. Mic test 1. Test. Test mic test. Test 1, 2. Test 1, test 2, 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Test mic test 1, test 2, 1, 2. Test 1, test 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Mic test 1, 2, 3. Test. Mic test 1, 2, 3. Test mic 1. Test 1. Mic 1 test. Test mic 1, 2, 3. Test. Mic test. Mic test 1, 2, 3. Test mic 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Test mic. Test, mic test. Mic test 1, 2, 3. Test 1. Test. Mic test 1, 2, 3. Test 2, 1, 2. Test mic. Test. Mic test 1, 2. Mic test 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3. Testing 1. Mic 4. 4 test 1.
Good evening. This is Happy TV reporting from Jurong East Stadium, where the Singapore Democratic Party is holding a rally for the Yuhua single-seat constituency. We can see some early birds in the stadium already. Some are sitting near the stage, while others are sitting on the grandstand. We will be providing live streaming of the election rallies every night. Stay tuned for more updates.
Test mic 1, 2. Mic 1, 2, 3. Testing 1. Testing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Mic test, test. Test, mic 1. Mic 1, test 1, 2, 3. Test mic, testing 1, 2, 3. Testing mic 1, 2, 3. Test, mic 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Mic test, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Mic test 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Check. 1, 2, 3, check. 2, check. 2. 1, 2, 3, check. Pak, jangan kacau IQ, Pak. IQ yang kacau. Check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check. 2, 1, 2, check. Test mic 1, 2. Check. Check. 1, 2. Test mic 1, 2, 2. Test mic 1, 2, 2, 1, 2.
One, two, 1, 2. Check 1, 2, 2, 1. One, two, 1, 2. Test. Mic 1, 2, 1, 2. Test. Hot. 2, 1. 1, 2. Test mic 1, 2. 2, 1, 2. Check 1 2 1 2. Check. Test mic 1 2 2 1 2. 2 1 2. Test mic 1 2. 2 1 2. Hot. Test 1 2. Mic test 1 2. Check 1 2. Oh, mic. 212.
Can you smell what the SDP is cooking? That's right. Good evening, fellow Singaporeans, and welcome to our SDP rally here in Yuhua. Are you excited to be here? Well, so are we. And we are so happy to see all of you here tonight. My name is Dennis. This is my colleague Bill Chu, and we will be your MCs this evening. Now, we know that we need our voices to be heard in Parliament, and that's why we need to vote in the SDP to be that voice. A voice that is competent, constructive, and compassionate, and most importantly, able to bring hope to our country, especially in our society and world that is getting increasingly complicated and crazy. Singapore belongs to us. It is our time. Let's make it happen. Come on.
在开场前，有几件事项想提醒大家，那就是注意个人安全，并保持场地的清洁，不要乱丢垃圾哦。
That's right. Okay, cleanliness is very important in our green city. Okay, so before you all leave for tonight, please pick up your rubbish. Okay. If you look to my right, there's a merchandise booth for you to check out our books, magazines, Danny the soft bear toys, crackers, light sticks, and other souvenirs and materials. Okay?
大选的活动费用真大，阮也爱去大盘部的承包商，做路哩啦、广告车啦、印海报传单，这个费用拢总是真正大的。阮出一份力甲精神。时间甲胆量，你出一片诚意来支持阮，阮一定会努力，不负期望，感谢各位。
Thank you. Other than financial assistance, we are also looking for volunteers to contribute as polling or counting agents in the voting centers, as well as join us on our door-to-door walkabouts. Okay? So if you want to register, just approach the registration booth or seek the assistance of anyone wearing the red-colored SDP T-shirt. Okay? Thank you.
另外，我也希望你成为民主党的投票甲点票的代理员，主要是在投票迄日观察投票的进行，公平顺利，唔爱有什么差错。你若爱做咱的投票员甲点票员的代理人呢，你会使去找阮人的工作人员报名，安尼就使啦。
Now, Singaporeans, are you ready for our first speaker? She is a member of a social enterprise, Function 8, which seeks to facilitate the sharing of social, political, and economic experiences. She also blogs occasionally. She is the author of Beyond the Blue Gate, Recollection of a Political Prisoner.
首先要介绍的特别发言人是一名退休律师，也是社会企业Function 8功能发的负责人之一。他曾经在上届2011年参加竞选，也曾经在网络发表言论。他就是在蓝色闸门的后面这本畅销的书籍的作者。
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Miss Teo So Love.
Hello everybody. Good evening residents of Yuhua and good evening my fellow Singaporeans. In the last election, I stood as a candidate in Yuhua and lost to my opponent, Ms. Grace Fu. But I want to thank all voters, those who voted for me and those who did not vote for me. Thank you. Today, Ms. Jesslyn Goh is standing in Yuhua. She is a young and capable person and a mother of 2 young children. Jesslyn has been working hard on the ground even before 2011. Give her a chance to serve Singapore. Give her the chance to speak up for you in Parliament. Vote for Jesslyn for Yuhua. Now this election is historic. Why, you may want to know? Because it is the first general election that is fully contested since September 1963. In 1963, there were 51 seats in Parliament. It was sheer courage and determination of the opposition parties that they managed to field 51 candidates. Let me tell you why the 1963 general election was so amazing. Have you heard of Operation Cold Storm? The PAP called it a security exercise, but it was not a security exercise. That operation destroyed the opposition and civil society for more than 50 years. It turned our once vibrant society into a country where citizens lived in fear. Operation Cold Storm took place on 2nd February 1963, just 7 months before the general election. The PAP arrested more than 133 leaders of the opposition parties and activists. Those arrested included Dr. Po Su Kai, the late Dr. Lim Hock Siew, and James Fu, the father of Miss Grace Fu. But despite this massive political assassination by the PAP, the opposition managed to field candidates for all 51 seats, and they won 14 seats. Don't you think that was a great feat? But do you know what happened to 5 of the 14 elected MPs? 3 of them were arrested under the Internal Security Act before they were even sworn into Parliament. And because they were arrested, 2 other elected MPs left Singapore and are political exiles today. So out of the 14 opposition MPs, only 9 remain. These 9 included our national hero, Dr. Chia Tai Po, who incidentally was Member of Parliament for Jurong. But that was not enough for the PAP. They also arrested many others, including 2 candidates who narrowly lost the election. 3 years later, the PAP arrested Chia Tai Po and kept him in prison for 32 years. Do you think honest leaders with integrity would arrest elected members of parliament and innocent people and imprison them without trial? And they were imprisoned for decades. Dr. Chia Tai-po was imprisoned for 32 years, Dr. Lim Hock-siew for 20 years, Lee Se-tong for 18 years, Dr. Po Su-kai and Said Zahari for 17 years. Can you imagine the political climate with all those arrests in the 1960s? The PAP thinks that the Sha Chi Jiao Hou, or in Hokkien we will call it Tai Ge Ga Gao. Can you understand Hokkien? Yes. Slaughter the chicken to teach the monkey. They think that that method would silence all of you. Are you silenced? Very good. Then you must vote the opposition into parliament. Despite what the PAP did, using brute force and the law to silence the people of Singapore, the opposition soldiered on. Today, we are no longer afraid of the PAP. With the help of social media and energetic, fair-minded young people like all of you, the election scene today is alive and well. And we must keep it this way. Right? From 2011, opposition parties have gained ground. Opposition candidates today are better qualified than the PAP candidates who mainly come from our civil service and our army. Tell me, if the PAP truly believes that Singapore needs a strong army, why are they recruiting generals into the PAP instead of letting them train our soldiers? If the PAP believes in a strong civil service, why are they removing our senior civil servants to join their party? So dear Singaporeans, the PAP only thinks about its own survival. Right? It does not care for Singaporeans. It has no plans for our future. It only knows how to increase the population and increase their own salaries. And it only knows how to fix the opposition. The SDP has now presented you with a slate of capable and well-qualified candidates. Not only are they well-qualified, they have one more important quality, and that quality is that they have a heart to serve the people. So, you must vote the SDP into parliament. We need to keep the pressure on the PAP. Vote the SDP into parliament so that the ruling government, whichever that will be, will listen to all of us.
SDP since 2000. She was also a candidate for the party in the 2000 and 2006 general elections.
第二位特别发言人是一名教学人员，自2000年加入民主党，他也在那年和2006年参加竞选。她就是徐顺全博士的妹妹徐淑珍小姐。
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, residents of Yuhua, fellow Singaporeans. Let me start with a little story, more a recount and account of what happened when I walked about with Ms. Jasmine Goh yesterday morning. We were at the Yuhua market, and then we came upon this elderly lady. She told me she's 81 years old, just a few years younger than my own mother. We came up to her, we shook her hands, and she told me, she said, early this year, in January, she was robbed at what she was exercising in one of the parks here. She was hurt, she was injured, and she was sent to the hospital. She was there for a night. We warded her for a night. Her hospital bill came up to $800 over. And she was able to settle that. But somehow there was an outstanding amount of $77 that she didn't pay. So after that, the hospital called her, sent her reminder notices to pay out the $77. Now she couldn't pay this, what would seem like a meager amount to most of you. So what happened was, then a month later, she went to her MP, the MP of this SMC. And as she approached the office, the first line of people suggested to her that perhaps her case was not important enough for her to have an audience with the MP. But this lady was feisty. She insisted on seeing the MP, which she did. So the MP told her, okay, we'll take note of this and we'll let you know. Month after month, she waited. And she continued to get these notices from the hospital. She didn't pay out. Yet she kept getting, and she kept getting these notices. Last week, her MP came knocking on doors. And they came knocking on her door. She opened up. And she says, do you remember me? I'm the one who went to ask you to help me settle this $77. The MP was very gracious. The next morning, she got a call from the hospital, and guess what? It was waived. The $77 was expunged. Now this is reflective of the PAP's uncaring policies, that only when it comes to elections time, this is what happens. These policies do not put the needs of the people first. But I'm not here. I'm not here to bash the ruling party. I want to tell you, residents of Yuhua and Singaporeans, about the constructive work that the SDP has been doing to better the lives of Singaporeans. Now, within 2 months after the last general elections in 2011, the SDP set to work. Within 2 months, we went to several blocks in Marsiling to pay home visits to the low-income families there. We found out that we found what some of their most dire needs were and set about helping them. For some, we wrote letters on their behalf to town councils to appear for the lowering of rental charges for their flats. For others, we brought them supplies such as baby milk, diapers, and basic essentials. For one family, we even carted a bed to their homes because they didn't have a bed. Now, not only has the SDP been in direct contact and doing direct work with these families, we've come up with practical, doable policies, which are alternatives to the no more functional ones of the PAP's policy that clearly do not meet the needs of the Singaporeans. Now, the SDP's policies are not manifestos crafted for the elections campaign, giving lofty information about what the party will do. Our policies are well thought out, well-researched policies put together by professionals, by dedicated people with real solutions to the problems that Singaporeans are facing. We came up with our healthcare policy in 2012. It was a policy put together by a team of doctors headed by one of our candidates, Dr. Paul Tambaya. We came up with our housing paper soon after that, and also our population paper to address the problem of overcrowdedness in Singapore. We also came up after that with our paper on economy, and our education paper was launched just last year. Now, in the 1990s, the SDP was the first opposition party that brought up the problem about our CPF withdrawal. At that time, the minimum amount, the minimum amount was $80,000 and the withdrawal age 55. Now, the minimum amount is double that. It's $160,000. The withdrawal age, 10 years older, 65. Now you've got to ask yourselves, why has the ruling party been able to do this? That's because in Parliament, we don't have a strong, effective voice. And it hasn't had a strong, effective voice for the past 2 decades. You haven't had the SDP voices to speak up for you. Now this is why you should put our candidates, the SDP candidates, into Parliament. Now let me turn now to one specific candidate, and that is your candidate in Yuhua, Ms. Jaslyn Goh. Now when I go for my walkabouts with Jaslyn, people invariably comment that Jaslyn is a manie. They comment on how pretty she is. She is indeed very attractive. But her attractiveness is the least of Jaslyn's assets. Jaslyn is someone I've known for almost 10 years now. We've worked together very closely throughout the years. We've gone through many trials together. We've gone through many heartaches together. But we've also gone through tremendous joy together as party colleagues. The Jaslyn I know is a compassionate, caring, competent, and immensely courageous woman. She has a real heart for people, and she is not, despite her diminutive figure, she is not afraid to speak up in defense of what she sees as wrong. Jaslyn is an amazing tireless worker who makes sure she gets things done. And I know this because I've worked so closely with her. She's more than a colleague. To me, she's a true and loyal friend. And tonight I'm so proud to be out here to speak for Jaslyn and campaign on her behalf as the SDP candidate for the party. But despite what a dynamic person Jaslyn is, despite how competent, dedicated, or caring or how good-looking our candidates from Holland Bukit Timah, Marsiling UT, Bukit Batok, Bukit Panjang, No matter how competent they are, how caring they are, how dedicated they are, make no mistake. The elections are not about them. It is about you, Singaporeans. It's about your jobs, your housing issues, your CPF, your welfare, your medical fees, your children's education, the quality of your life. It's about your family. It's about your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews. Put our candidates into Parliament to make them speak up for you. Put the SDP's candidates into Parliament and make them work for you. This is the least. You deserve more than that. But this is the least you can expect from the SDP candidates. Put them to work, ladies and gentlemen. So in this elections, make the SDP work for you, and the only way you can do that is to put all our 11 candidates into Parliament. Thank you and good night.
So do you hear what she said? Put SDP in the Parliament. Right. As you might already know, running an election campaign involves a lot of effort. And unfortunately, unlike the PAP, we are unable to run solely on care and concern. The truth is, we do need financial assistance to do this, and that's where all of you can contribute. If you look to my right, there's merchandise, row of merchandise booths there for you to check out our books, magazines, Danny the Bear soft toys, clappers, light sticks, and other souvenirs and materials. Especially the light sticks, because you can keep them to the next National Day Parade and light them up alongside our SDP candidates who won't be in the stadium with you as an MP. Financial assistance, we're also looking for volunteers to contribute as polling or counting agents at the voting centers, as well as join us on our door-to-door walkabouts. We hope that you can be a part of this great movement and make history with us. Okay? Just approach the registration booth or look for anyone wearing the red SDP t-shirt for help. Okay?
接着要介绍的是马士林游池集选区的候选人，他是新加坡国立大学英语教学中心兼职讲师，他今年56岁，在1995年加入新加坡民主党，这次是他首次代表党参加竞选。
Our next voting candidate is an adjunct lecturer at the Center for English Language Communication, National University of Singapore. She is single, living in Marsiling with 6 cats and a dog. Happy dog. She holds a PhD in creative writing and literature from the University of New South Wales, a Master of Arts Honours in Creative Writing from the University of Western Sydney, and a Bachelor of Accountancy from the then University of Singapore. She joined SDP in 1995, and this is the first time she is standing in a general election. Please put your hands together to welcome our candidate for Marsiling UT, Dr. Wong.
This is Happy TV at SDP Rally at Jurong West Stadium now. You can see the stadium is pretty packed, the grandstand is occupied, and so is the field. This is the second candidate to speak for tonight.
亲爱的裕华居民，你们好！很感动看到这么多人这样支持我们。啊，不过我小妹我是在国立大学教英文科，所以中文不是很好，所以希望你们不会介意，今晚我会用英语跟你们谈话，好吗？好。Dear voters of Yuhua, good evening. My name is Wong Suk Yi, and I'm a lecturer in English language at the National University of Singapore. I've been active with the SDP for 20 years, and the party has been active for 35 years, walking the ground and listening to the problems of the people. In particular, we have 10 policy proposals on education, on health, on housing, on population, and the economy, and a few others. These are problems that Singaporeans face today. And we believe that our proposals will be able to help minimize these problems for Singaporeans. So nobody can say that we appear on the scene only once in 5 years. Today, I would like to talk about just one thing: why we need many more opposition voices in Parliament. If you go to the Parliament of Singapore website, you will find there a definition of the function of Parliament. What does Parliament do? Or what does an MP do? The function of Parliament, or the role of an MP, is to make laws and to take up a critical role to check on the actions of the governing party and the ministries. Please listen carefully to these words: to check on the actions of the governing party and the ministries. Now, those of you who are familiar with what goes on in Parliament will know that the PAP has something called a party whip, PNA. The party whip means that when it's time to cast their vote in Parliament for or against a bill to be passed, unless this party whip is lifted, PAP MPs must do what their leader tells them to do. In other words, they must vote for the bill even if they are against it, even if the bill is against their own conscience. So with the party whip in place, do you think that the PAP MPs can fulfill this role of checking on the actions of the governing party? No. And how many times has the party whip been lifted in Parliament? The answer is not many. What I do know is that the PAP party whip was not lifted in 1984 when they proposed the CPF minimum sum to lock up your savings. The party whip was also not lifted in 1994 when they introduced the GST, that is the 7% GST that we have to pay for all goods and services. And 2 years ago in 2013, the party whip was not lifted when they wanted to increase the population to 6.9 million. I think you can safely count with one hand the number of times that the PAP MPs can vote freely according to their own conscience. But even if the party whip is lifted, do you think that the PAP MPs have the courage to vote against the party? Back in 2002, do you know what Tan Soo Khoon said when Goh Chok Tong toyed with the idea of lifting the party whip? Tan Soo Khoon said, "So, what's new? I still have to get permission to disagree." So now, let me ask you, with the existence of the party whip, and with only 7 opposition MPs out of a total of 87 seats, can Parliament fulfill this role of checking on the government? No! As it now stands, what we have is a lopsided Parliament, in which laws are passed without any meaningful debate or challenge. Therefore, what we need in Parliament is obvious. We need more opposition voices. We need more opposition voices in Parliament because PAP MPs
are just not able to perform this important task of checking on the government. So now to conclude, when I say that we need more opposition MPs, we don't just need a few more. Even having 1/3 opposition is not enough, because that applies only to constitutional changes. In other words, if the government wants to change the constitution, they need a 2/3 majority. But if they want to raise a GST from 7% to even more, or if they want to increase the CPF minimum sum, or extend the age of your CPF withdrawal age, all they need is a simple 50% majority, and these changes will become law. So, having a few more opposition is not enough. We need many, many more opposition voices in Parliament. Therefore, friends and residents of Yuhua, vote for the SDP and vote for my colleague, Jesslyn Goh. Vote for Jesslyn Goh so that she can be your voice in Parliament. Jesslyn is a dedicated mother and a successful entrepreneur, all rolled into one. Not only can she understand and articulate your worries of bringing up children in our stressful system, Jesslyn is also a director of a company with a sales turnover of $2 million. And on top of that, Jesslyn is SDP's most effective fundraiser, without whom our GE campaign would have to be much more modest than it already is. Okay, I have one more thing to say about Jesslyn before I go. I think you would all agree with me that she is an uncle killer. But do you know Jesslyn's specialty? Her specialty is PAP minister killing. Not literally, of course. So residents and friends of Yuhua, please give your vote to Jesslyn. Send her to Parliament so that she can be your voice in Parliament. Let the SDP be your voice in Parliament. Thank you.
Dr. Wong, you also killing PAP lah. Thank you.
竞选工作需要很大的资金和人力，所以我们再次的呼吁您。
This is Happy TV again at the SDP rally at Jurong West Stadium. Dr. Wong Suki, who has just spoken, argued for a stronger opposition presence in Parliament to check the PAP because PAP.
小旗子、雨伞、刷子是开放等等，出售所得的款项将用于支付竞选活动的费用。另外，我们也希望您成为我们的投票和点票代理人，您只需要向我们工作人员报名就行了。
Thank you. So, now, our next candidate came from a humble family and stayed in a HDB 3-room flat when he was young. He is the eldest of 3 children. His humble beginning exposes him to issues that the man in the street, which is you, grapples with every day. He joined the SDP in the 90s and was the founding member of the Young Democrats, the youth wing of the party. He later became its vice president and then president. He was the youngest member to be elected to the Central Executive Committee of the party. He also stood as a candidate in the Hong Kong GRC in the 2001 general elections. He is currently married with a 4-year-old daughter and is working as a manager in the local hospital. He obtained a diploma in business administration at Temasek Polytechnic. Anyone from Temasek Polytechnic here? Woo! Alumni, before reading business at Monash University, majoring in marketing and management. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome our candidate for Marsiling UT, Mr. Brian Lim.
叫啦，李文興是邊李文興啊？民主黨嘅李文興。各位親愛嘅裕華嘅選民，各位親愛嘅朋友，大家好。今日我要講羅迪巴達、雞腿、個羅家嘅故事，咱慢慢聽哦。最近我哋民主黨搬去阿木橋新嘅辦公室，我逐暝伫黨嘅辦公室開會開到死袂完，逐暝搭的士轉厝。伫的士內面，我暑假甲換的士翁哥拍招呼、講話，了解人生活嘅艱苦。我問頭一個換的士翁哥對BAB有啥物感覺？伊講啥物咧？伊講 BAB 真愛賣羅蒂巴達。我講問你安怎樣講安哥？伊講伊回答我講，因為 BAB 講話邊來邊去啊。各位，我這是安哥講話有道理無？1955年。BAB 講退休嘅老人55歲就使提出公積金。1987年 BAB 講你袂使攏總提出來，請你人大開大紙去巴東找查某。你袂使。准伊講，你人愛留15萬伫公積金內面，請你人四處亂開。BAB 講15萬乜來做？咱講公平無 ？BAB 講你人愛工作10年咧，等到65歲，他來慢慢提出來，咱講有道理無？你人逐日做工，做甲手腕背換，做40-50年嘅工來行政府處，行了資料要往公積金來享受。但是 BAB 甲你講等久久啊，咱講理由無？所以那擺拄着 BAB 議員，伊甲你講，請你投我一票啊！你甲伊講等久久。咱新加坡嘅人民啊！咱是爱摕倒随咱的物件，公积金是随咱的，这是咱辛辛苦苦赚的钱，这是BAB的钱。民主党的政策就是让人民家己注意，公积金爱慢慢开，还是总部压出来。咱民主党相信新加坡人民是真聪明的。有政府往你的公积金伫外国投資，出的錢算你的，贏的一點點。所以民主黨建議，公積金的利息應該起，讓咱老人過退休的日子，對不對？所以希望咱投民主黨一票，讓咱也咧公積金甲你拖轉來，會使無？第二個故事啊，我問第二個花的士翁哥，有拿到這消費稅的包車無？啊，冇叫 GST 包車。伊講有啦，但是無用咧。我問伊，安怎樣講翁哥？伊講因為BAB 大選前互你雞腿， 大选了，到这过来你拖转来。我为大安哥讲，安哥啊，政府的女教呀，反对到你就照到啦。是的。BAP 2011年的大选，讲啊有灵有好的，过后什么也袂记了。讲交通的车税减起，伊阁互真侪外国人嚟新加坡抢厝，互伊的厝的价值去到咱新加坡人民无办法喘气。咱少年的人民啊，无办法买厝，居厝阁贵。买新厝怪等3年，但是BAP常常讲去死囝啦，去死囝。请问BAP，你是要叫人去倒落死？买车落死，还是楼梯头死？陈传军部长我甲你讲诶，伊讲。阿婆捡纸皮，是因为伊厝内无代志做啊，想要出来 exercise， 趁淡无钱。叫来跳看卖，叫来跳看卖。好啊，搁一个部长靠分阮讲，你若是要做有即较偏的老人用，就要去中央马路找。有道理无红的？别比假赛！我再报者，红头根90个老人死，伊破病，伊无办负担这医药费，伊无想爱拖欠伊的查某囝，家己去自杀。咱民主党访问选举的时间，有一个老人甲咱讲，伊总无办法去高比调恁高比啊，因为无办法负担。你知甲民主党讲啥物无？伊讲。人愈老，物件愈贵啊！这政府真无用啊！各位，部长的工费几百万，伊莫来了解你痛苦。部长工费几百万，这靠大来白黑暗啊！各位，咱社会是破病了，咱政府到底有照顾人民无？所以，民主党有3个建议，咱叫政府莫只要甲基本的物件，亲像米、油、盐收消费税。第2个建议，民主党希望政府爱落这公共交通的车税。若是你超过65岁，伫这早起10点到下晡5点，坐巴士、MRT 免费，其他时间车税是一半。假使你是超过80岁老人，你坐的士看医生是免现费，这是民主党第2个建议。第3个建议就是叫政府卖厝的时间去调这土地的成本，安尼款这厝就袂贵，咱少年家就办法买厝。恁人嘛都爱用9到15年来还厝的累，安尼款你就愈减侪的公积金。你讲民主党这政策会使无？第3个故事，我问第3个黄帝是安哥，伊对新加坡的国会有啥物看法？伊讲真善嘞，BAP 伫国会里书甲伊讲无辩论， BAP 议员搁伫国会内面困啊！我问你，你家己国会应该安怎款？伊回答我，伊讲国会应该愈侪反对党愈好啊，敢若茶炉只共款，愈炒愈香。陈春生部长讲，新加坡无适合两党制，也是多党制。伊讲，外国政府就是因为两党制也是多党制，所以国家会失败。No。各位，你来知韩国甲朝鲜未？会知好大个？两个国家的人所想做工做嘛，但是你看两个国家的差别。各位，韩国有失败无？台湾有失败无？瑞士有失败无？美国有失败无？BAP 讲，反对党伫国会内面，即摆伫国会内面有反对党来监督伊人，伊讲伊会使监督伊家己啊，也是。BAP 安尼款讲，安尼学倒来老师做啥物？学生考册了，家己拍分就好啦。这是无理的物件嘛，对不对？所以，你也是卖 BAP 伫国会内面卖落只，卖 BAP 伫大选了头一节回转来。你一定要到新加坡民主党，伫你伫国会内面炒罗只，炒愈炒愈香，叫好无？民主党会使无？民主党会使无？民主党会使无 ？SDP， 感谢大家。谢谢。Singaporeans, steady or not? SDP, steady for PP or not? Alright.
接着要介绍的是马基里刘池候选人，他现年45岁，是一名教育顾问，拥有10多年的教学经验。他育有5名6岁到17岁的子女。过去20多年，积极参加马来社团活动，从中他了解到我国马来同胞常被我们的制度有所排斥和区别。他从政的希望就是能代表马来同胞发言，争取福利和改造他们的生活。
Our next candidate is currently an advisor for education and training. Married with 5 children, he holds a bachelor degree in architectural study from the NUS, a diploma in teaching and training from Cambridge, and a diploma in counseling from Kaplan, Singapore. He had also been the director of Muhammadiyah Islamic College. As a Malay Muslim, he's perturbed by the institutionalized discrimination of Malays in Singapore and wishes to address such inequality. He joined the SDP because he feels that it is the only party that completely spells out a stand on various Malay issues. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome our candidate for Muslim UT, Mr. Zaman Hurricane Abbas.
大家晚上好。Dear voters of Yuhua, I am a candidate for the Marsiling and UT GRC. My name is Zaman Hurricane Abbas. Allow me to begin my speech tonight in the national language which is my mother tongue. Yang saya kasihi rakyat Singapura dan para pengundi sekalian. Sempena bulan bahasa, izinkan saya mulakan ucapan ini dengan sebuah pantun istimewa. 2-3 kucing berlari, manakan sama si kucing belang. 2-3 boleh ku cari, manakan sama Dr. Chi seorang. For my non-Malay speaking Singaporean, let me translate that Malay poem into Singlish. 2-3 cat run. Where God send the strike one. 2-3 can find one. Where God send like Dr. Chi one. Pada malam yang penuh berkah ini, kita rakyat Singapura berkumpul bersama menunjukkan semangat kesatuan kita. Sebagai rakyat Singapura, tak kira Cina, Melayu maupun India, kita semua adalah anak jati Singapura. Setelah 50 tahun merdeka, rakyat Singapura sepatutnya semakin bersatu dan saling percaya mempercayai antara satu sama lain, tanpa apapun perasaan curiga. Namun, apa yang masih wujud ialah suatu sistem yang bermuka-muka yang memberitahu masyarakat Melayu untuk meletakkan harapan dan kepercayaan kita kepada wakil rakyat Melayu pilihan mereka untuk menyuarakan dan membela kepentingan dan hak masyarakat kita. Tetapi sistem ini sebenarnya hanya membelenggukan mereka daripada benar-benar mewakili dan menyuarakan hasrat masyarakat sejujur-jujurnya. Terlalu banyak contoh-contoh yang boleh diutarakan. Di mana-mana masih lagi berlaku diskriminasi terhadap masyarakat Melayu, seperti isu tudung, Melayu di SAF, bantuan untuk madrasah, kota kerja dan sebagainya. Saya adalah seorang aktivis masyarakat yang telah lama bergiat di lapangan dan telah mencuba menyampaikan tentang diskriminasi dan hasrat masyarakat kita langsung kepada pemimpin-pemimpin Melayu PAP ini melalui sistem yang telah mereka wujudkan untuk mengurus masyarakat kita. Setelah 50 tahun, masyarakat Melayu bersabar dan menunggu saya dan ramai orang Melayu saya ingin berwala. Rakyat Singapura yang tercinta, saya kenal secara pribadi. Maaf. Setelah 50 tahun, masyarakat Melayu bersabar dan menunggu. Saya dan ramai orang Melayu sangat kecewa. Atas sebab inilah saya memutuskan untuk bergabung dengan SDP dengan harapan jika dipilih dan dilantik nanti, mudah-mudahan saya boleh menjadi suara masyarakat kita. Rakyat Singapura yang tercinta, saya kenal secara pribadi dengan beberapa AP Melayu PAP, antaranya ialah Dr. Faisal yang saya kenal sejak kami berdua-dua menjadi mahasiswa di Universiti Kebangsaan Singapura. Beliau adalah seorang yang saya jamin sangat baik dan berjiwa bangsa dan menjaga solatnya di mana-mana. Saya juga kenal dengan mantan AP Encik Maidin Packer yang saya sangat hormati kerana beliaulah seorang AP Melayu yang berani berdiri membela FAMSA, sebuah badan Melayu Islam yang saya anggotai di waktu kami difitnah. Saya kenal dengan beberapa AP yang lain juga melalui pertalian keluarga ataupun melalui kenalan-kenalan yang sama-sama semua berniat. Mereka semua berniat baik. Saya yakin untuk menyumbang kepada kemajuan dan kesejahteraan masyarakat kita. Biarlah saya cakap seterang-terangnya di sini. Masalahnya bukan mereka. Masalahnya adalah sebuah sistem yang diwujudkan bukan atas dasar kejujuran dan kepercayaan, tetapi kecurigaan yang disalut dengan madu dan gula. Rakyat Singapura inginkan kepimpinan bangsa yang berjiwa rakyat dan berwibawa. Rakyat Singapura inginkan kepimpinan bangsa. Rakyat Singapura mimpikan suatu masyarakat yang benar-benar adil dan saksama. Rakyat Singapura layak mendapatkan sebuah sistem pemerintahan yang berpasakkan prinsip meritokrasi yang jujur dan telus, bukan meritokrasi yang dusta dan merupakan slogan semata. Kesemua ciri-ciri murni kepimpinan yang berjiwa rakyat ada di SDP. SDP berpegang kepada pendekatan yang pro-keluarga, pro-rakyat dan pro-Singapura. Ayuh rakyat Singapura, kita beranikan diri kita untuk menggantikan kekurangan yang ada pada sistem sekarang ini dengan mengundi pembangkang supaya sistem ini dapat diubah. Ia hanya boleh berlaku jika terdapat pembangkang yang ramai, kuat dan berani di Parlimen. Selagi tiada suara pembangkang di Parlimen, betapa kuat kita berteriak di luar, tiada kesan yang akan mengubah keadaan kita. Ayuh rakyat Singapura, undilah SDP supaya hasrat masyarakat kita bersuara di Parlimen sampai ke sana. Undilah SDP. Sekian, terima kasih. My speech in English. My fellow Singaporean, I stand before you like all my friends in SDP with our hearts wide open. We come from diverse background and upbringing and with our many experiences, but we are all united. We are here in SDP because we still believe in you, Singaporean. We believe you are proud as citizens of this country of ours. We believe you are trustworthy and reliable. We believe you are wise and rational and can think about what is good and bad for our society yourself without the constant threat and fear-mongering that are deafening our ears. Chinese, Malay or Indian or other minority race, we are all Singaporeans. How can it be, after 50 years since we gained independence, we still live in a society whose leaders treat us with suspicion and constantly insults our collective intelligence? How can it be that we share the beautiful pledge of our nation of one united people, yet we still have a system that institutionally deny the right of my 6-year-old son to dream of one day becoming a tank commander that he saw on TV on IC-50, holding the Singapore flag in his hand, just because he happens to be a Malay Singaporean. It is injustice and cruel for the government to cast a blanket of suspicion on an entire community and justify it on the basis of a handful of dark cases and JI detainees which they have the system to detect and have them arrested. Is this the kind of society that we can be proud of, people? We are one united people. We are wise and mature enough to see the ludicrousness of a policy that deny the Malay nurses who chooses to wear the tudung to work proudly in her nursing profession. After all the wait and patience, after pleading to the government for 50 years for that little right for that young Malay nurse, we still hear nothing but excuses on grounds of maintaining imaginary common spaces that has no basis in society because we have all become proud as Singaporeans. let me say this to the PAP government. If after 50 years of trying to bring us all together, you still give such insulting answer, then I say to them, move aside, because you have failed to unite the nation. Let SDP take over and finish the job that you have miserably squandered. Singaporeans are hoping for a leader to lead Singapore out of this system that sows distrust instead of tolerance and compassion. By the turnout that we see in rallies, my fellow Singaporeans, the day that we dream is now seen rising from the horizon. The winds of change is blowing and the chill is soothing and calming and sweet. Dr. Chi has been demonized, brutalized and scandalized, and that the entire state missionary led upon him, and yet he chooses to remain steadfast. All the while, not for a single moment, giving up his deep conviction and belief in the soul of each and every one of you, Singaporeans, that the day will come, that Singaporeans will come to know the truth about him. And this day has indeed arrived. The soul of this nation must be allowed to be resurrected. And I am heartened to witness that the spark of political and social reform has indeed been kindled. What we are witnessing together is a phenomenon. When we see Singaporeans coming in droves, the uncles and the aunties, the pakcik, the makcik, the blue collar and the white collar workers, the men in the street, fill up our rallies and that of other opposition rallies too. It is showing all of us something. The people is hungry for a real leader of the people, that the people's trust in the current state of PAP leaders are no longer. That the people wants to reinstate the sacred social contract between a leader and his people. That is, the leader of the people are your servants and not your masters. And I'm pleased to see this happen before my very eyes. I have to stop here. I have a bit more to go, but time is up. Thank you very much. Dear Singaporeans, vote for SDP. Thank you, Mr.
chance to win or not?
I think I need you all to convince us. SDP can win or not this year. We need to convince the people outside, PAP outside, whether we can win or not. Together we need SDP.
要求大家要成为民主党的投票甲点票代理人，主要是在投票迄日观察投票时公平顺利的进行，唔爱有什么差错。你只爱甲阮人的工作人员报名，安尼就会使啦。另外咧，大选的活动咧费用真大，阮就爱拍大片啦、沙罗里啦、广告车啦，还有印海报啊、传单啊，阮出一份力，加精神、时间甲胆量，恁出一片你的诚心，好无？会使无？
Yes, we need all the help you can give us, okay? Because unlike the PAP, we cannot just survive solely on care and concern. Our next speaker, are you ready for our next speaker? Our next speaker is a woman candidate for the Holland Bukit Timah GRC. She is the current treasurer of the SDP. She is also an expert in public health, holding 2 master's degrees, 1 master's in public health, specializing in clinical epidemiology from the National University of Singapore, and the other, a master's of business administration from the University of Adelaide in Australia. She's also presently the administrator of Renci Nursing Home in Momen.
接着要介绍的是荷兰5级之马的候选人，他45岁，未婚，在2011年加入民主党。 他拥有新加坡国立大学公共卫生硕士学位，以及澳洲阿德雷德大学工商管理硕士学位。他曾经当过护士，目前也是仁慈疗养院的管理员。他能讲一口流利的英语、马来语和广东话。
Now, Singaporeans, please put your hands together and warmly welcome Miss Chong Wai-Fong.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time out to attend tonight's rally. I'm truly humbled to be standing on this stage addressing you tonight. Are you proud to be standing here as Singaporeans? Do you think that as a nation we have built a democratic society based on justice and equality? Our national pledge states that we will build a democratic society based on justice and equality, regardless of race, language, or religion. We proclaim that our success is based on meritocracy. Is that really true? Like many of you, I was lucky to grow up in a household where I received the care, love, and support from both my parents. We were not well off, but we enjoyed the simple pleasures of running barefoot in the playground, sharing toys and treats with neighbors and schoolmates. In short, we were just being children. Raising a child is not easy in the 1970s. It has gotten even more difficult today with the rising cost of living and the pressure of our school system. To raise a child alone is indeed a daunting task. But every year, 500 babies in Singapore are given birth to by single mothers. Every year, 500 babies face uncertainty growing up in a system that provides their mothers with little support. 500 babies will grow up in a system that does not recognize their existence. Do these children have a choice? As Singaporeans, do we value every single child regardless of their background? What about these single mothers? There are many reasons why women become single mothers. Yet, we put them all in one basket and treat them as people not deserving of our resources. What about Malay friends? Are they less Singaporean because they are born Malay? Orang Melayu bukan orang Singapura ke? Therefore, tonight, I want to speak about building inclusiveness. Building a society with compassion. A society that does not discriminate against children, even if they are children of single mothers. A society that does not discriminate against singles and single mothers. A society that does not discriminate against Singaporeans because of the race in their identity card. Today, I call for Singaporeans to take a stand against such discrimination. The PAP government said that it is not pro-family to provide subsidies or housing to these non-conventional families. Today, a single working mother does not get a single cent of her taxes under either the Parenthood Tax Rebate or the Working Mothers Child Relief Schemes. They are also not eligible for grandparent caregiver relief, baby bonus cash gift for first child, and are given 8 weeks of paid maternity leave instead of the usual 16 weeks. The PAP government does not care if the welfare of these children is compromised. The PAP government is more interested in discouraging single motherhood. Do single mothers choose to be single mothers? No. The The PAP government does not care if the welfare of these children is compromised. For us, the children's welfare should come first before anything else. How much of our budget will be used seriously to provide equal benefits for single mothers so that their children start off on life on an equal footing with their peers? At the recent National Day rally, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong said, "We are a nation of homeowners." But the PAP also says that the public housing policy is aimed at promoting marriages. Therefore, to discourage unmarried parenthood, a mother-child family cannot be recognized as a valid family nucleus. Where is the evidence that this policy has worked to reduce unwed motherhood? Today, a single unmarried mother is therefore not eligible to buy or rent a HDB flat with a child. Many of them have to rely on relatives to provide temporary shelter or to rent them from the open market. Proper housing will provide a nurturing environment for the child to grow up in. We are not encouraging single motherhood, but we believe that every child is important. With today's policy, the family must wait until the mother turns 35 years old to buy a HDB flat under the single scheme. How is this pro-family? The ethnic integration policy was implemented to promote racial integration and harmony. It restricts the proportion of minorities living in each block and neighborhood. The SDP believes that the ethnic integration policy has outlived its usefulness. Under the current housing policy, it reduces the resale price of their flats. The SDP has different policies that address the issue of discrimination against certain groups of our society. The SDP housing policy ensures that singles and divorcees are not unfairly discriminated against. The housing policy aims to make housing more affordable to all segments of society so that they are not unnecessarily burdened. SDP's policy paper on addressing the concerns of the Malay community wants to abolish the ethnic integration program that restricts where ethnic minority can purchase their homes. We believe that Singaporeans, regardless of race, language, or religion, can live together in peace. Do not let the PAP-led government scare you with stories of racial riots. If you believe that we can build an inclusive society and live up to our national pledge, then do not be afraid to vote for the SDP. Your vote is secret. Nobody will know whom you have voted for, not even the PAP-led government. If we stand for an inclusive Singapore, I ask you to give us the opportunity to be your voice in Parliament. So that we can speak up on issues that are important to you, the citizens of Singapore. We care about the future of this little red dot that we call home. And we care about the lives of all Singaporeans. We can have better policies by engaging in constructive debates in Parliament. By having opposition members who are competent, constructive and compassionate, we can draft policies that are more than just profit-generating machinery. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want change to happen, be that change maker. For you have the power to make a difference. Vote for SDP for a better future. SDP, vote!
Whoa, look at the crowd. So huge. 5 years ago. Wonderful.
This is Happy TV at the SDP rally at Jurong West Stadium. The rally tonight has passed its halfway mark. Just a recap, SDP candidates have raised three major points: the need for checks against the PAP in Parliament, discrimination against Malays in the military, and the plight of single mothers. Stay tuned with us for more updates.
接着要介绍的是被视为新加坡民主党最有潜质的新人，国大医院感染科高级顾问医生及国大杨路林医学院教授。现年49岁的他已婚，妻子是南大商学院讲师。他精通中英文，他就是代表荷兰古吉芝马西选区的曼马亚博士。
The crowd is cheering for SDP candidate Dr. Paul Tambia.
Fellow Singaporeans, it's great to see so many of you. Thank you all for coming for this rally for Ms. Kathleen Goh, the SDP candidate for Yuhua's SMC. It's an honor and privilege to be here speaking to you this evening. But before I go into the substance of this talk, I have to discuss an encounter I had this morning during our walkabout at the Adam Road Food Centre. I also have to make a request of you. I'd like to ask all of you to please kindly refrain from booing when I tell you who I met and what we discussed. As you know, the SDP has fought a clean and fair campaign without stooping to the level of some of our opponents, and thus I would ask you not to boo this person. If you really do not like him and his policies, just put a cross next to the rocket for SDP and its candidates on Friday. And tell your friends and family to do the same. That is the best way to send a message to our politicians. Anyway, as we were visiting Adam Road Food Centre, we encountered Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan and his team. He said that I had misinterpreted his remarks on volunteers in my speech at the rally last night. And he wanted me to issue a clarification. Now, for those of you who were at Commonwealth last night, you know that I took pains to read out word for word the corrected version that was in the Today newspaper, as I thought it reflected the values of some of the PAP leadership. This morning at Adam Road, Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan pointed out to me that even the corrected version in the Today newspaper did not tell the full story. And he suggested that I read his Facebook post and watch the video of his entire speech in order to better understand what he was saying. So, in the spirit of gentlemanly debate, I did that. And I will quote his Facebook post in full. I'm sorry if I'm boring you a little bit, but this is what I promised I would do.
No boring, no boring.
So, quoting from Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan's Facebook post, he said, I would seriously review MP allowances, but that is not actually the key issue. The more fundamental question of what leaders do we need, I believe three prerequisites are essential: honesty, competence, compassion. Sounds a bit familiar, right? Now, honesty, he said, the PAP insists on absolute honesty, full disclosure, no cheating, no lying, no favors. The moment we get dishonest politicians in Parliament, that will be the beginning of the end. Competence, he says. In many countries, politicians are full-time politicians. In fact, their entire career has been spent standing for elections since they were students. They have never worked in a real job, run a business, or practiced a profession. We believe it's better to get people with real-life experience in Parliament. Do you think he's insulting his military colleagues? Back to his Facebook post. The question of whether they should be full-time or part-time is actually secondary. The real question is whether they can serve the residents well given their experience and commitment. Compassion, this is the heart of all. We need people with a heart to serve other people. Without this element, politics is downright dangerous. If we can all agree that these three elements are absolutely essential, then we can explore reducing allowances. One seductive notion is to eliminate the allowance totally, make it zero. Now, nobody said we're going to make it zero, but this is what he said. So he says, let's do a thought experiment. If the allowance was zero, only two kinds of people can afford to be full-time MPs. First, wealthy people, but hardly representative. Second, people who see politics as an avenue to earn money on the side. Corruption. So zero is not an option. Nevertheless, we can and should continually review this question of a reasonable allowance. This is something that can be debated on another day. But never forget the more crucial issues of honesty, competence, and compassion. These are non-negotiable. End quote. Sorry I had to sit through that, but that was Dr. Balakrishnan's full Facebook post. So this morning, Dr. Balakrishnan clarified that he was not referring to volunteers in general, but to politicians exclusively. So I appreciated that clarification and told him so. I also told Dr. Balakrishnan that I disagreed with his point of view on a philosophical point, and I would share my views this evening at the rally. First and foremost, Dr. Balakrishnan seems to imply that those who have spent their life in the service of the unions, or maybe even the military, as organizers, listening to workers, campaigning for their rights, are undesirable as politicians. That seems very odd. Maybe that's why so many unionists are now helping out with the alternative parties. Secondly, his view of honesty in politicians seems to be extremely limited. It's limited to the negative idea of not lying, not cheating, or not giving or receiving favors. Now I want you to listen carefully. This is very different from the SDP view of honesty. Honesty to us is much more. Honesty in a politician means having an honest view of yourself, knowing that you are primarily a servant of the people, not a master of the people. You are not entitled to some extraordinarily high salary just because you're a scholar who doesn't take bribes. Honesty means realizing that you are in your job because the people trusted you to speak up for them, and you owe your job to them. In the words of the famous movie, the people should not be afraid of the government. The government should be afraid of the people. And that, Dr. Balakrishnan, is real honesty, in my opinion. You're entitled to disagree. Finally, if you watch the video, he makes some really shocking comments about doctors who operate for free on poor people, but I'm not going to comment on that. So I'm also going to address some of the other issues brought up by the other PAP candidates during their rally in Pitter Road last night. I'd like to state up front though, I'm very, very glad and pleased that they are engaging us on the issues, and they're not going down to the gutter politics of the past. First of all, DPM Sarman is reported in the Straits Times as saying, free healthcare will mean raising taxes. I would encourage DPM Sarman to read our healthcare proposal in full. First of all, the SDP healthcare plan does not involve free healthcare. There are co-payments involved, but these co-payments are for the highest and are for non-emergency care. In other words, if you're the guy who likes your local GP so much that you want to go and pour out your burdens to him, you have to pay a little bit more for that. But if you have a real illness, the SDP healthcare plan ensures that co-payments are kept to a minimum. Secondly, we propose raising taxes on the top 1% of taxpayers to a level that was seen in the year 2000. DPM Sarman instead, in the budget 2015, proposed raising taxes on the top 5% of income earners, but at lower rates. I guess spreading the misery is part of the plan, but if I was in the top 2 to 5% of taxpayers, I would be quite sad that it was the DPM Sarman and not the SDP who was deciding their tax rates. And thirdly, the plan proposed by the SDP is a universal health insurance plan. We proposed it in 2012. In 2015, finally, the PAP is coming up with MediShield Life, which is actually a watered-down version of a universal healthcare plan, with high deductibles, co-payments, as well as a cap on benefits. Now, I'm quite glad that MediShield Life has universal coverage. It's better than MediShield with its long list of exclusions. But do you know that as you grow older, your premiums for MediShield Life go higher and higher? And this will seriously affect senior citizens, most of whom have very little savings or very little money in their MediSave accounts. So the current policy is to tap on children and grandchildren to pay MediShield Life premiums for senior citizens. And this places a significant burden on the next generation. This is precisely the problem that Ms. Sim Ann said last night the PAP wants to avoid. In fact, this generation is a highly sandwiched generation. They have heavy burdens to pay in childcare and children's education costs. At the same time, they're asked to pay for their parents' increasingly high healthcare costs. And finally, DPM Taman, we mentioned the French system because we wanted to benchmark our healthcare system against the best healthcare system in the world, as ranked by the World Health Organization. As Singaporeans, we deserve the best. Secondly, Mr. Christopher D'Souza questioned our use of part of the current defence budget to finance the increase in government spending for the National Healthcare Plan. Now, the SDP is completely committed to the defence of Singapore. I enlisted in Temasek Green in March 1983, and I finally received my MR certificate 1 month ago. I disrupted twice. In those 31 years, I've seen the SAF go from 1G to 2G to 3G, and who knows, in the future we'll have an army of cyborgs programmed by some little gamer over here. What the SDP is calling for is transparency and accountability in all government spending, including defense. We're asking for smart defense spending. There are many questions which have been raised, for example, about the F-35 fighter, which has been called the fighter plane which cannot fight. It would be good for issues that involve huge amounts of taxpayer dollars and have had serious concerns raised by other international experts to be debated openly. These issues have been debated, even in countries like Turkey and Israel, which are fighting wars right now. So there's no reason why they cannot be debated in Singapore. Next, Ms. Sim Ann is quoted on the Channel News Asia website as saying, "The opposition parties say the government purposely does not spend money on people. In Holland Bukit Timah, we know that if we don't keep money for a rainy day, we aren't thinking about our children's future." End quote. Now that is precisely our point. The government of today is so far out of touch with the people that they don't realize it is raining on us every day today. We seem to live in a different world. In a world in which mythical creatures like unicorns exist, where food is cheap, where $1,000 a month can buy you an HDB flat, and $8 can get you a cardiac bypass operation. You and I know that that is a fantasy. If we do not invest in our people today, there will be no future for our children tomorrow. You need people in Parliament who live in the real world, who can ask the good questions about where our money goes, about whether our savings, our taxes are going to be used to invest in people of Singapore rather than some high-profile fancy project. And finally, and most disturbingly, Mr. Liang Enghua, the fourth member of the Holland Bukit Timah team, is reported of saying that he did not want to impose a minimum wage of foreigners. This was apparently met with an enthusiastic response from the PAP crowd. And this is very troubling to me because it borders on xenophobia. In the SDP, we believe that a fair, universal minimum wage will benefit Singaporeans as much as it benefits foreign workers. Singaporeans will not have to compete with low-wage workers who are willing to work for much less than we do. The exploitation of migrant workers will stop if there's a minimum wage. These people build our schools, our roads, our homes, and they live in miserable conditions after paying huge sums of money to unethical and exploitative agents. The least they deserve is a fair wage for their work. Thank you. As you know, I am a medical doctor and a professor at the university. I have a relatively comfortable life, but I joined the SDP and came forward to be involved in the political process because I became frustrated in my work in a public hospital. I don't believe that healthcare is a commodity because most people do not choose to be sick. I've given plenty of feedback, but realized the only way to make a difference was to get into Parliament, ask good questions, and demand answers. I was guest speaker at the SDP Vote Key rally. This was videotaped, and the video went viral. Many people were concerned I would lose my job. In fact, in 2012, I became even more prominent as one of the faces of the SDP healthcare policy that was very critical of the Ministry of Health financing. But instead of losing my job, in 2013, I was promoted to full professor in China. And I think this is a strong signal that Singapore has changed. The knuckle-duster era that Ms. Teo Solang described earlier on is over. There is no more fear. There should be no more fear for Singaporeans to speak up. In this election, you can see Roy Ng and Han Hui Hui are speaking up in front of the crowd. 4 years ago, they would never have been allowed to speak. I have received a lot of support from friends and families for this campaign. Many people say to me, thank you for speaking up for us. But there was one lady, an older lady, who said to me, why are you doing this? Why are you going against the PAP? I don't think it's a good idea. So I respect her, and I asked her why. And she said to me, the government has been good to us. I receive a pension every month. My healthcare is taken care of as I hold the civil service card. I don't have to pay anything. When I go to hospital, I can even stay in an A-class ward for $10 a day. The PAP government has been really good to us. Why do you want to take them on? And I said to her, you know, Auntie, you were one of the lucky few who joined the civil service before 1984. After that, the pension scheme was over. That was when the PAP really cared about the people of Singapore. The young people today don't have that option. They have to depend on their CPF, which is locked into their housing. They have to pay out of pocket for their medical costs. She seemed a bit skeptical, and I'm not sure if I won her over. But I think she made an important point to me. The PAP of the past is not the PAP of today. Our seniors accepted some of the draconian measures of the PAP of the past because they were convinced the PAP of the 1960s, when there was strong opposition in Parliament, had good policies which benefited the people. The people of today are not so sure because they hear that the ministers of today need to be paid high salaries, otherwise they'll become corrupt. That is why this election is about values, choosing the right people with the right values, people who care about Singapore and Singaporeans. Jaslyn Goh is one such person. She has done very well for herself despite coming from a humble background. She is a creative individual despite not having government scholarships to go to fancy universities. A true Singaporean entrepreneur, she's built up a business with her husband and done well. She has 2 lovely children, one of whom was my chaperone at the SDP anniversary dinner. In fact, the very first time I met her, she was MC for some SDP event. She does that all the time. But this time she's stepping forward on her own as a candidate for the Yuhua SMC. She's not afraid to speak up and to be the voice of those who are marginalized. She will speak up for Singaporeans, make her and the rest of us your voice in Parliament. Thank you.
Dennis.
Yes?
I have been standing here for so long, my legs are real stiff now.
I got an idea.
Yes.
Before I give you the idea, I want to ask the people here, do you know why SDP has been persecuted in the past and sued? Do you all know why? Because SDP has big balls. Look to your stage right. We got a big ball there. It's coming up. Now what I want you to do, this big ball, is to pass it down. Okay? Pass it down stage right. And then we'll circle the whole field until it comes back on my stage left. Can you all do it now? Go! Pass it!
岛国，虽然体积不算太大，不过凭国人的共同毅力和努力，我们将能把这个岛国推向未来，继续前进。
Yes, this ball represents the tiny island of Singapore. We will not let it fall. We want it to progress and march forward. From the whole Singapore, what all of us can do. Singapore for Singaporeans, SDP, 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 SDP. On that passing the stage left, come on,
Make SDP the voice in Parliament.
SDP, SDP, SDP 10, SDP 10, SDP 10, SDP 10. Give yourselves a big round of applause.
谢谢大家。现在要介绍的是裕华单选区的民主党代表候选人，现年40岁，她已婚，育有2个正在就读小学的孩子。她与丈夫经营一家属于中小企业的建筑公司，目前是该公司的销售总监。她不是别人，就是胡慧玲女士。
It's Jasmine Cole-Bailey.
裕华的居民们，你们好。我从东海岸听到你们的呼吁，要我来这里裕华竞选，所以裕华的居民们，我听到了，我吴慧玲来了。记得4年前，我第一次踏入裕华，就在252的咖啡店，一位安科。后来我才知道他是民主党的老臣安科后来，他看到我，不断地告诉我，我一定要来裕华竞选。可惜当年因为孩子还小，也不够自信，而没有参选。过后，安科后来每次看到我，都会鼓励我，要我来裕华竞选。可惜安科后来不幸在今年过世了。我今天要站在裕华，以一个裕华的候选人向安科后来致敬。虽然迟了点，希望也了了他一个心愿。裕华 residents and all our supporters who brave the congestion and come to support the SDP rally, a very good evening to you. Thank you. Many of my friends sent me well wishes when they found out that I am standing as a candidate in this election. The well wishes always ended with, "It is going to be tough." And some mentioned thanking me for the sacrifices I made to stand as a candidate. However, the one who made the biggest sacrifices are not me, but my very dedicated campaign team. Chris, Johnny, Peter, Marvin, Chinfen, Yuanqi, Alvin, Halim, Sam, Dennis, Akiam, Yasser, Wakiet, and Jenny. These are the people who sacrifice every morning of their sleep, wake up early to meet me at Yuhua for walkabout before they go to work, and rush over every evening after work to do house visit with me. These are the people that do it not because of money. They are volunteers who receive no pay nor enjoy any privilege from us. These are the people who believe in SDP, believe in me, that SDP is a party that Singapore can make Singapore a better place to live in. Believe that me, when voted in, will be their voice in Parliament. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what I call sacrifice. And there are many in SDP, besides my campaign team that I mentioned. There are many Jufri, Mansura, Francis, and Clarence in the party who is working tirelessly to support all our 11 candidates in the background, all for one common goal, to give our best in this election, to give the candidate the best chance to be voted into Parliament. These are the people who are my greatest motivation, and I thank them from the bottom of my heart. 昨天晚上在玉华走访中，一位安科叫我过来，他向我大声说了，我是 PAP 的支持者。我还是伸手握了他的手，回答安科 ，PAP 也好 ，SDP 也好，大家都是新加坡人，投谁也不会改变那个事实，我们都是嘎吉郎。安科听后很开心地对我说，他在逗我的，其实他也是支持反对党的。安科，如果你今天有在这群众大会，我想跟你说，我不会因为你而投 PAP 一票而对你的态度改变。相反的，我会一直努力，一直用心对待玉华的居民们，直到你们信任我、相信我、投我一票，我也会做到。我也会做到。你们是因为投我一票，而不是因为反对人民行动党而投我一票，我是不会放弃的。To achieve this, we should work towards a clean and fair contest between the two opponents. This morning, it is very disappointing to see that the banner painstakingly put up by our volunteers to early 2 a.m. today was sabotaged. Singapore really has no place for such backing politics. It is okay if you do not support me. I will continue to work hard to win your votes. But please do not vandalize our election banners or posters or any other political party, be it PAP or alternative parties. It is an offense for any person to alter, remove, destroy or deface any election posters or banner under the Parliamentary Elections Act. The punishment for such an offense is a fine not exceeding $1,000 or imprisonment of term not exceeding 12 months. Please, do not in the course of your support for one party get yourself into trouble with the law. I have read from the nomination day mentioned that I look forward to a clean and fair contest with my worthy opponent, Ms. Graceful. And I am very pleased that it will still a very precious contest so far, as wherever we meet each other during our campaign, we wish each other well. The incident of the banner this morning not only never dampened me, but it touches me. When my very supportive husband came over with his colleague to put the banner back in place together with my campaign team, who stayed behind to help, my husband told me, when others put you down, I will always be there to put you up. Thank you to my husband who is here tonight at the stadium with my 2 children to support me. Life has never been a bed of roses for me. In my course of work, in the early years of my life, I was deemed not good enough as I failed to hit the sales target set up by the company. In sales line, if you do not hit the target, then out you go. I was kicked out before. I feel sad, hopeless, and even cry over it. But I never let that put me down. 哪里跌倒就要从哪里爬起。I never stopped trying. I never give up because of my failure. Instead, I try to learn where I have done wrong, where I need to improve and upgrade. This makes me what I am today. I'm the director of sales, managing the sales department in my humble company. My experience as a salesperson previously taught me to be more understanding towards my salespeople. I encourage them when they fail to meet their target, not punish them. Celebrate with them when they do well. Work with them when things go wrong. I believe in partnership with the employee. It is this experience that helped me relate well to the suffering of my fellow Singaporeans. 在一次走访中，一位居民问我，如果我当选后，我会为他做什么？我问他，你需要我帮你做什么？他回答，听我发达。安克，我不是财神爷，我没办法让你发财，但我很肯定的是，民主党如果进入国会的话，我们要为人民争取工作与生活的平衡，协助国人解除部分的生活压力。And to do this, SDP has come up with alternative policies like housing, healthcare, population, education, and economy. On nomination, a resident waited for me outside the nomination center and pushed a letter to me. He said, I must bring this up for him. This is a letter of demand from NUH, demanding more than 30,000 of hospital bills in arrears from an 80-plus-year-old man. He said, and I quote him, 看电视，电视台告诉人，建国一代的国人不用担心医药费，表面做得很好，后面却用这种手段来对付老人家。难道要这位老人家跳楼才甘心吗？ My dad, who recently had a fall at the hospital, was told that he needed a hip replacement operation. The doctor called me after speaking to my dad and told me my dad refused to be operated. When I visited my dad and asked him why he refused to operate, the first thing he told me, Quito ai là thiên kho à? I can't help but also notice that the estimated cost of operation was prominently placed at the table next to him. Many elderly residents I met, like my dad, do not want to be a burden of their children, yet they couldn't afford healthcare costs on their own. Some rather die than to burden their children with the medical costs. I remember many years back, my mother-in-law's neighbor, an elderly 70-year-old man, went missing. He was diagnosed with cancer. His very filial son frantically searched for him, and some neighbors gathered and searched around for him. They finally found him dead. He committed suicide and left a note telling the son, who had sold his HDB flat to pay for his mom's medical bill and moved in to stay with them, that he does not want to burden his son anymore, as the 3-room flat is the only roof over their head, and he was still struggling to pay the mom's medical bill. The son was so heartbroken. Fellow Singaporeans, is this what we want for our 建国一代? Is this how we want to be when we grow old? This is why the SDP proposed the National Health Investment Fund, where the government and the people contribute into. My fellow SDP candidates spoke extensively on these alternative policies the past few days. And we want to bring this plan to the Parliament and offer an alternative to the failed Medisave, Medishield and Medifund of the government policy. I received many feedback from residents. Another resident approached me this morning with another letter, wanting me to raise the issues about the CPF. Another asked me to bring about the motorcycle COE. 我是做美工的，特别做到2-3点，无捌无 MRT。COE 的 motorcycle 要6000几块，我妈啦还袂起。故你讲一日也无够现坐，无够坐的士。你讲业怎好？另外一个安科是卖面的，伊甲我讲。van 的 COE 要5万块，伊的 van 要10年了，停袂起 COE 唔免做生意了，无 van 载你，无工做。还有好多居民都把他们的亲身经历向我诉说。居民们，民主党和我都希望把你们这些问题带到国会，替你们发言。民主党也都有替代的政策来解决你们的困扰、你们的困难。I don't want to question Ms. Graceful on the timing of releasing the 5-year plan for Yuhua, but what is important that residents, regardless of who you vote for, this 5-year plan should continue to be carried out. There should be no distinction between there should not be a distinction between a PAP ward and an opposition ward. Upgrading of Yuhua or any constituency is a national building program. A nation does not belong to any party but the people. The past few days, I have residents buying me a plate of fruits to thank me for all my hard work. This morning, a fellow Singaporean from West Coast came over to offer me a packet of sweets for my kids as their mom is working hard on the ground. She told me, please get into Parliament to speak up for her, even though she's not a Yuhua resident. 居民们，你们的心意，我很感动，我也收到了。真侪安弟看到我，讲我真少年、真水。记者们也问我对美女选战的看法。大选不是一个选美赛。傅海燕小姐她也很漂亮，但你们要选的是一位可以代表你们在国会发言和能够管理好市政理事会的议员。I'm very confident when voted into parliament, I will not just able to manage the town council. I will also be your voice in parliament, and I have the blessing of my husband to be a full-time MP when voted in. Please vote for me. I promise I will be your voice in parliament. Yes. 亲爱的立华居民们，请投我一票。我保证，我将会代表你们在国会发言，我会是您国会里的声音。投票是秘密的，敢投我一票。记得在民主党的标签上打叉，不要认错标签哦。Your vote is secret. Please do not be afraid of voting for the SDP. Remember to put a cross on our party logo and not otherwise. Thank you. Thank you very much for your support.
This is Happy TV at the SDP rally at Jurong West Stadium. We have just heard the speech from the SDP candidate for Yuhua, Jesslyn Goh.
Good. Just a little announcement. One of our volunteers in the midst of preparing for tonight's rally unfortunately dropped his phone. Samsung phone. So if you look around you and see a phone, please pass it to the front up to us. Yeah, Samsung H phone, okay? If you see so. Okay, thank you.
假如你们发觉你们有拾到一个Samsung的手提电话的话，请交给我们工作人员，他就会拿到前面来。谢谢。
Now, our next candidate is someone who needs no introduction. But I'll do so anyway because he's simply awesome. This candidate is happily married with 3 children, completed his pre-tertiary education in Singapore before earning his doctorate in neuropsychology from the University of Georgia in the United States. He returned to Singapore in 1991 to lecture at the National University of Singapore. He has won many international awards and accolades for his human rights work and social causes. Currently, the Secretary General of the SDP and taking us to school on how politics should be conducted in Singapore is none other than Dr. Yuhua. A little surprise. We'd now like to invite all the candidates up on stage. from around Singapore, and they have decided to come to our rally to give our candidates a garland of honor.
Now to you, Dr. G.
阿姐诶，阿祖，阿姆阿伯，大家好。我迄日伫 office 那边，我那边总部，大家都做得很累了，很辛苦，所以我想让大家比较轻松一点，互大家淡薄较轻松淡薄，我就唱一首歌，互大人听。啊，唱什么歌咧？我唱福建的歌啊。福建话也袂晓讲，爱唱福建歌，咧惊死人。但是袂要紧哦，咱是讲佚佗淡薄啦吼。啊，即阵有人放伫电脑，但咱看甲乱，所以你爱去看，你会使去看哦。啊，唱什么歌咧？这歌是叫100万。这歌是讲。若是我有100万，100万，若是我有100万，一世人就轻松对。啊，无讲，无人知，讲着真歹势。啊，食甲你大汉，阁无变回 SDP， 拍拼安尼多年，无车无厝。阁无爱人，看政府咧做生意，有钱阁有势。若是我有100万，我要游世界，互我去晒太阳，意大利食 spaghetti， 日本食寿司，2000万卖互 BAB。若是我有100万，我要买车买厝，但是新加坡讲爱 count money， 做人真艰苦。若是我有100万，100万，若是爱欠零钱，这投票免客气。 若是我有100万，我要留世界，什么 ISD 莫去啉高边。若是我有100万，我要留世界，我要买车买厝，但是 BAP 讲爱死互伊，叫人死互伊。若是我有100万，100万，欠政府安尼侪钱，哪会打？若是我有100万，100万，物件大起价，真啊大问题。若是我有100万，100万，朋友诶，若这个人有100万，卖互 BAP 吼，也来 support SDP， 好无？我是讲笑是较淡薄轻松嘛，对无吼？但是我是有真啊重要的代志，啊，甲你人解释。我早起去不给姨妈兜，我去报附近，有一个阿伯，伊就甲我讲，伊讲我80处回了，我的 Medicare revenue30外千，我把你去劳军厝，我想讲爱用 Medicare 来还我的劳军费5000块。伊讲 Medicare 讲不使，伊讲我这个月就爱讲出来，所以我直接甲大家讲，政府对我人的老人家爱会照顾，莫一块一针甲人算，对无？啊，昨日我就进摩道，也是去啉高冰。甲几个阿姆咧坐无，咧甲人讲，我讲收费真正重，哦，高比一杯即阵，哇，起甲箍贵。伊甲我举互我看，伊讲我一边一道叫一杯水3角，我想讲安怎安尼做咧？伊讲。咱莫怪这高比店的做生意的，因为咱爱还个租嘛，啊租是私人收的，弄这种是政府收的。我就是咧甲人免讲解释，政府伊人家己的人会晓顾家己，咱人免伊袂晓顾。保长的旧日工，一日我甲讲1万块。一日1万块，保长讲唔对，无安尼做。我讲无安尼做，你甲人讲大做吗？袂使讲。有这个理由无？保长工钱是咱人民的 tax 的费对无？伊咱今日工钱莫甲人讲偌济，袂使安尼看。啊，咱我若是讲，阿伯阿姆。你人若是讲暗暝日是爱出去，你坐车坐巴士，你莫讲7点9点啦，人啊去做工吼，真侪人，莫甲人亏嘛，对无？但是咧，你9点到4点，较无人坐车的，叫政府互人坐免费的吗？坐免费嘛，对无？你出去你嘛是要一顶车，你互几个老人家起来，够乱，你车油嘛是袂到低。所以我是讲，政府吝啬到那样子，甲咱会晓一直算钱，伊才会保障家己晓顾。我人是讲，老人家阿姆阿伯，你超过80岁，你爱去看路军，袂行。民主党，我人讲， 你叫 taxi， 政府甲你出，你爱看，你爱去劳军厝，爱看劳军，免坐 taxi， 你超过80岁坐 taxi 免费，政府甲咱斗出，唔是咱嘅国家尔咧，别个国家也是安尼看，台湾啊，韩国、日本，伊人嘅老人家，伊人会晓讲，咱咧，咱嘅政府就是顾伊家己。所以咱好好想，你这个大选好好想，好好投我啦民主党的票，好无？好无？民主党会使无？民主党会使无？会使无？你个参议来报告声无啦，较大声淡薄 ，SDP 会使无？就拢声无啦，较大声淡薄。你istana 听无，较大声淡薄 ，SDP 会使无？谢谢大家，感谢了。My fellow Singaporeans, in politics, there are always two sides of the argument. But there is one issue that everyone can agree on, is that Singapore has become a very expensive place to live in. The cost of living has risen at a tremendous pace in the last decade or so. Whether it is housing, or healthcare, or even the food that we eat every day. Things have gotten much more expensive very quickly. I mentioned that in an earlier rally that while Singapore was only 97th most expensive city in the world in 2001, we are shot to becoming the most expensive city in the world today. How did this happen? Have you ever wondered why things are so expensive in Singapore? Two words. Land pricing. Land price is the main driver of the high cost of living here. And the reason why we are the most expensive city in the world. But how does this work? The government is the largest landlord in Singapore. It owns large plots of land throughout the island. It determines how much land is sold and the price at which each parcel is sold to the HDB and to private developers. This means that the government controls the sale of prices of new HDB flats, commercial rental, and tender prices for private developers. It does this through giant real estate companies like Capital Land and Maple Tree. In other words, high land prices mean high sale prices and rentals. Businesses have to rent or buy office space, and the higher the rentals and the commercial property prices, the higher the overheads for these businesses. These overhead costs are passed on to the consumer by the increase in prices of goods and services these businesses produce. And there is another way that high land prices affect you. Because of the high price in office space, businesses try to keep wages down. And by keeping wages low, so as to maximize profits. They do this by hiring cheap foreign labor instead of Singaporeans. Singaporeans are further disadvantaged in that large foreign retail chains and corporations are better able to afford the high land prices than local entrepreneurs who operate small retail outlets and SMEs. So the overall effect of high land prices set by the government is that one, things are made much more expensive. Two, it also has the effect of putting our homegrown businesses and entrepreneurs at a disadvantage. And three, it lowers productivity and increases unemployment and underemployment. But the problem in this whole setup is that the PAP government doesn't own the land in Singapore. This land belongs to all of us here. And it shouldn't be used by the government for profit and make life so stressful and tough for the citizens. Instead, land should be used for the common good of all the people and to make life easier for all of us. I mentioned in Hokkien just now that just the day before I had visited Jim Mong, and I spoke with a group of older ladies sitting in a coffee shop at the foot of HDB block. I talked to them about the cost of living and mentioned that a cup of coffee is so expensive nowadays. One of the ladies there, she pointed to a glass of water sitting in front of her and said that that cost her 30 cents. Imagine a glass of water in a coffee shop charges you 30 cents. I don't blame the owner of the kopitiam business because he or she has to pay for rent for the lease of the shop, which is owned or managed by the government. Again, it is the PAP government that is profiting from Singaporeans. Clearly, the government continues to get richer and richer using the land that belongs to us. And at our expense, especially those who are the lowest income group. Take, for example, the case of a man by the name of Tan Ji Suan, an odd job laborer. The man had difficulty feeding, taking care of his polio wife and children with his meager income. He worked and saved enough until one day he finally managed to save a few $100s, enough to buy his wife a bed that made it less of a struggle for her every morning to get herself up because of a polio. The family could afford little else. The pressure and humiliation of not being able to provide for his family got the better of him. In October 2006, he killed himself by jumping in front of an oncoming MRT train. As I mentioned last night, even the middle class, or the sandwich class, as we call it, is getting badly squeezed by the rising cost. Many of you, we know, many of you cannot save because your expenses outstrip your wages. As a result, many Singaporeans have to work harder and harder just to stay at the same spot. All this exacts a social cost. A survey in 2013 on the social attitudes of Singaporeans showed that 55% of the respondents said that work demands had interfered with family time. This is up from 47% in 2009. This puts a tremendous strain on family relationships. The same survey showed that the proportion of divorced, separated, or widowed respondents who said that their jobs took time away from family more than doubled to 57% from 25% over the same period. Psychiatrists in Singapore, and this is an important statistic that you must remember. Psychiatrists in Singapore reveal that up to 90% of their patients are suffering from mental health issues caused by stress from work. I'm not making this up. You can look it up online. A survey conducted in 2014 by a group called Randstad Company found that Singaporean workers are the most stressed out lot in Asia. This is the situation that we have today. The PAP takes care of itself very well. And the ministers insist that they must be paid top dollar, otherwise they don't want to serve. In 2012, Ms. Grace Fu, the PAP candidate for this constituency, in reference to the cut in ministers' pay after the last GE, she said, and I quote, "If the balance is tilted further in the future, it will make it harder for anyone considering political office," unquote.
Shameful! Disgraceful!
And then just last week, Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan said that there are only two kinds of people who would work without incentives. Those who are wealthy and those who are corrupt. Do you know how insulting that is to the hundreds, if not thousands of volunteers who are helping us and other organizations and who have never demanded a single cent in return? But then, when it comes to Singaporeans, every time you tell the ministers to take care of us, and those from the lower income groups, they tell you that that will ruin the work ethic, and worse, bankrupt our country. Mr. Liang Eng Hua, the candidate for Holland Bukit Timah GRC, did exactly this last night at a PAP rally. Referring to our proposals like minimum wage, retrenchment insurance, healthcare financing, he said, quote, "The crazy economic ideas of the SDP will reverse our economy," unquote. But when they budget $104 million for the Youth Olympic Games in 2008, it's money well spent. Dr. Balakrishnan, who was the minister in charge of the Games, went on to blow the lid of the budget and spent another $300 million on top of the original amount that was originally budgeted. Well, listen to this. And I want you to really think about the attitude of Dr. Balakrishnan. After it was pointed out to him that he had overspent the YOG budget by nearly 3 times, he said, and I quote, "If I knew it was going to cost this amount, would I still have proceeded to bid for the game? The answer is a definite yes." Unquote. But when you ask that the CPF savings be returned to our retirees, the PAP says they will squander away their savings. Dr. Balakrishnan, if you are listening to my speech, and I'm sure you are, you have absolutely no moral authority to tell Singaporeans that they will squander their savings when you outspend the YOG budget by $300 million.
Where is our result? Kick him out!
Fellow Singaporeans, I hope I don't have to tell you, I don't have to explain to you that the only reason that PAP dares to make such galling statements is because we don't have an effective opposition like the SDP in Parliament to hold it accountable. Have we become callous and immune to all this? We shrug our shoulders and we sigh a sigh of resignation and say, "Bo bian." What to do? Jinghu, like that one. After a while, it even ceases to bother us. We've lost the ability to feel outrage at life's injustices. We see the number of poor growing in our very midst. We see lines for free meals lengthen at temples. We see our elderly dragging their aching bodies to work so that they can earn a few dollars to feed themselves. Our workers hold down 2, sometimes 3 jobs just to earn enough to pay the bills. The younger ones are unable to find jobs that pay enough. Their dreams of buying a flat and starting a family made exceedingly difficult to realize. Well, I'm here to tell you that we are not helpless. We can do something about it. I want to appeal to your hearts. But more importantly, I want to appeal to your minds. I want to reason with you. Now, people have told me that I'm too academic. But I think that it is important that I reason with you and appeal to your sense of logic. Because if I don't, then all I have left is sensational rhetoric. Although nice to listen to, does you absolutely no good. I know that if I appeal to your intellect, to your sense of right and wrong, then I know that together we can make the right decisions. I have another reason for appealing to your intellect. If I appeal to your intellect, then we will not get into gutter politics. Now, some of our supporters, they make derogatory remarks about the PAP candidate. Please, refrain from this. Because even when I disagree with Dr. Balakrishnan, I disagree with him with what he says. But I don't dislike him. We went to the same school. He was 1 year my senior. But I had great admiration for him. Even when he was in school, we were in school, and he was a school debater. I remember watching him and former PAP MP Mr. Davinder Singh when they were school debaters. And I was thinking, wow, I want to be able to speak and debate like that. I'm sure his colleagues, Sim An, Christopher D'Souza, and Mr. Liang Eng-hua are also not bad people. But this election is not about them. It's not about Mr. Lee Hsien Loong, although you see his picture all over the Singapore. It's not about our path. And it most certainly is not about me. It is about you. It's about how we want to build our future. About how what we want to do for Singapore. We, as citizens, we have the power and the ability to set the course for our nation, to take it to a better place. We must do this together, my fellow Singaporeans. We must do this together as a people. Many people have said to me, Aya, don't confront the government. The PAP will self-destruct in 1 or 2 elections. Just be there to reap the benefits. I've heard this over and over again, more than I care to remember in the 20 years that I've been in politics. But that's not what I joined SDP. It certainly is an easier way, that's for sure. But I wanted to add my voice to the growing chorus of voices who see the problems and want to address them. That's why I joined politics. But if I just keep quiet and try to get into Parliament and take in the monthly allowance of $16,000, then I might as well have just stayed in my job as a professor at NUA. No. I came into politics to speak up for you, because if those of us who care don't speak up, then change will not come. Let us not continue to allow fear to dominate us, to freeze us into inaction. Because fear destroys ideals. It blurs moral clarity. Let us overcome our fear, because we cannot stand up for democracy on bended knees. In life, we are confronted with choices. We can choose to live passionately and for what we believe in, or we can continue this path of timidity and fearful silence. Either we live and dare mightily, or we cower in fear without spirit. And let it not be remarked by history that we were a generation who remained on our knees even as our overlords stripped us from our freedom and dignity. Let us stand up to those who would oppress us. Let us look them in the eye and tell them that they will demean us no more. Let us speak up for the poor and the broken. Let us live free and dignified lives. Let us live mightily, and in so doing, know what it truly means to be the Singaporean. Thank you. Good night. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to, before we end for tonight, invite one of my very close comrades up on stage. Someone who has been traveled with me through many miles in our long journey. He is none other than our former chairman, Mr. Gandhi Ambala. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
谢谢林胜全博士。
Thank you, Dr. Chi. So long. SDP can. SDP can. SDP can. All right. Fellow Singaporeans, tonight was a great night for all of us. But at the end of the day, we need you to vote for SDP. Vote for us so that we can be your voice in Parliament. Now, fellow Singaporeans, you have heard our speakers tonight. Please go home and tell everyone about what you have heard and seen tonight. We also welcome your thoughts and suggestions. So if you have one or a few, please come and talk to us later or drop us a note on our website at yoursdp.org. Okay? Our next rally will be tomorrow at the promenade area near the UOB Plaza. That's the additional lunchtime rally, okay? At 12 p.m. So for those who work nearby, please go for a lunchtime rally. Please bring your lunches along. and attend the rally with us. And our night rally will be at Bukit Batok, Block 265 at the empty field tomorrow night. Okay? So please make the time, please bring your friends and loved ones to come for our rallies.
你们先别回去，因为我们想介绍 Mr. Sada， 他会上台来讲几句话。Mr. Sada。
I'd like to invite Mr. Sada now just to say a few words before we end. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now this is very important because as I came a bit late, I could not deliver my speech in Tamil in advance, so please excuse me for a moment. I would like to reach my fellow Indian citizens who are residing in this constituency. அன்பான வேட்பாளர்களே, அன்பான வாக்காளர்களே, தயவு செய்து சிங்கப்பூர் ஜனநாயக கட்சிக்கு வாக்களியுங்கள். உங்களின் பிரச்சனைகளை நாடாளுமன்றத்தில் பிரதிநிதித்து பேசுவதற்கு நல்ல பலமான குரல் உங்களுக்கு தேவை. அப்பொழுதுதான் உங்களுடைய பிரச்சனைகளை அரசாங்கம் கவனத்தில் கொள்ளும். எனவே நேரமின்மையால் அதிகமாக பேச முடியாது. சுருக்கமாக சொல்ல வேண்டியதை சொல்லிவிடுகிறேன். உங்களை பிரதிநிதித்து செல்வதற்கு தகுதியான ஆட்கள் எஸ்டிபியில் இருக்கிறார்கள். ஆகவே தயவு செய்து எஸ்டிபிக்கு வாக்களியுங்கள். நண்பர்களை தொடர்பு கொண்டு எங்களுக்கு வாக்களிக்க சொல்லுங்கள். நான் புகைப்பாத்தோப்பில் நிற்கிறேன். இங்கு என்னுடைய கட்சியை சார்ந்த ஜோசலின் இருக்கிறார். புகெட்டிமா ஹாலண்ட், அங்கு டாக்டர் சி உடைய தலைமையில் ஒரு குழு நிற்கிறது. மாஸ்லிங் யூதி தொகுதியில் ஜான் தான் உடைய தலைமையில் இன்னொரு குழு நிற்கிறது. புகெட் பாஞ்சான் தொகுதியிலும் தகுதியான ஆள் நிற்கிறார். எனவே வாக்களிக்க மறவாதீர்கள். சிங்கப்பூர் ஜனநாயக கட்சி வெற்றி பெற்று நாடாளுமன்றத்தில் இடம்பெற நீங்கள் வாய்ப்பு கொடுங்கள். நன்றி. Please vote for SDP.
我宣布该会正式结束。明天我们将会多一场中午群众大会，地点是在 UOB 大厦旁边的空地。明晚的大会也将在Bukit Batok 多湾若大牌265的前面的空地。记得投民主党一票，把我们带进国会。晚安。
Good night. Oh wait, one more thing. Dr. G will be signing autographs on my stage right. So if you bought his books, or if you brought your notebook, or you just want him to sign your hand, please line up and then he will attend to you. But please line up orderly because we have got elderly in the crowd, okay? Good night everyone! See you tomorrow!
This is Happy TV at the SDP rally at Jurong West Stadium. The rally is ended, but stay tuned with us. We will be talking to some people.
圈啊，他刚才讲就是
讲什么？
刚才讲就是你的就是生活费在新加坡越来越高，因为就是那个土地的
土地
越来越高。
对。
你同意他的看法吗
？OK， 政府啊，其实啊，跟人家征用人民的土地啊，其实呢本钱很低的嘛。他征用了啊，就用这个市区重建局啊，征用这个土地卖给这个土地管理局，土地管理局才再卖给这个建筑发展局，建筑发展局才起这个屋子，就以这个高的价钱啊来算这个成本啊，所以他的还要赚这个利润的话，变成屋子越来越高嘛，有这样的现象，是不是？好像我们以前的住港崩啊，我们的店哦，跟政府啊买多少钱呢？1969年的时候买15千呢，买15千好，那么怎样嘞？15千了啊，住了15年啊，做生意做了15年，还有84年还没有用嘞，就被赶了嘞，赶了啊还不要紧啊，他赔你26千，赔26千之后啊，被赶了。你要去政府的店屋啊租嘞，他赔你26千，你2年的租金要给他拿去了喽，2年的就完了。现在一直跟他租几十30多年嘞，每个主屋啊店屋啊，全部啊亏本啊100多万的嘞。跟你征用的时候啊，是以这个数目啊来赚取这个利润，你想想看，是全新加坡不是单单一间嘞。这样你可能以前我们在出售的时候，你们还没有出事，不知道这种事情。OK，
谢谢
啊，我们经历过，我们知道。我没有机会要跟老师学习。
对
，OK。
Definitely cost of living is rising. Okay, so what do you think? What do you think the cost of living is rising? Observation.
Okay. Sorry. Basically, I think because as you know, Singapore is getting very expensive, so a lot of people want to move into Singapore. Firstly, because of the security reasons, they are very safe. Anyone can free to walk around in this country, middle of the night, nothing will happen to them. Okay, so because of this, foreigners want to come in. So so when you have more foreigners coming into this Singapore, the price of the land will definitely be rising, because they have to fight with us locals, Singaporeans. So it's like who pays more gets the land. Yeah. So the other issues that we are facing is medical, especially for elders. Mostly now 60% of the population is getting older, and then the medical cost is rising, and a lot of people are actually concerned about GST charge for the medical cost as well. Recently, my grandmom, she had to fork out quite a huge sum of money for staying in the hospital, and then only part of her Medisave was allowed to be used. Whereas I feel that Medisave, it belongs to her. She should be given she should be entitled to use the entire sum to cover her medical costs. Why does she need to come out, or like in this case my dad, he fork out his own cash to pay for the grandmother, which I feel is not fair.
One of the concerns raised by the SDP proposal is that who is going to pay for all this government spending on healthcare? So they're worried that they will be passing the burden on to the next generation. So
Definitely not. I think for childcare and especially childcare, they should healthcare. They can. I think they can subsidize even further, maybe about 70 to 30 ratio. Yeah, so at least they, the burden is not on the patients, because we already go to the hospital to recover, but when we see the end of the day, when we see the bill, the cost, it's even going to be more taxing for us. Yeah.
One issue, basically, Jocelyn Golden, the candidate for this Yuhua constituency, she was saying that, like upgrading of estate shouldn't be tied to which political party, regardless of whether the opposition ward or the SDP ward. Upgrading program should proceed, should be a national program.
Yeah, it definitely should be a national program, because as you know, HDB, most of the HDB houses are owned by Singaporeans. So I feel the upgrading should be entitled to all Singaporeans, right? Not, it doesn't mean that I'm in this particular zone or in this particular estate, I'm not entitled to the upgrading. Yeah, it should be. End of the day, it's people's money, right? It should be equal to everybody, the upgrading. Why you want to segregate? It's not fair, huh? Yeah.
Last question. So one of the ideas that was brought up just now is reducing defense spending, or making defense spending more transparent, so they can be reduced to fund the direct home funds for healthcare spending. I think this is right.
Defense-wise, no, because we have to be on par with our neighbours or better, because as you know, we are always under threat from our neighbours. So I think defense-wise, we shouldn't cut down on the spending. We should be upgrading, but then you can cut down on other expenditures now, right? Instead of cutting down on defense. Yeah. Thank you.
This is Happy TV. We are at the Jurong West Stadium now. The SDP rally has ended. Thanks for watching our live coverage of the rally. We'll be streaming these rallies every night. So to check out our coverage over the next few days. Signing off now. Thank you.